Sandra Cotto developed asthma as an adult. She needed to use inhalers. She had 2 sinus surgeries and tubes put in her ears. She was getting regular allergy shock, but would still get allergy flare-ups. She changed her diet, and things changed for her. I'm going to let her tell you her very interesting story. Hello, Sandra. It's good to have you here. And I know you've had a really interesting journey changing your diet and all the benefits you felt of that from that. So can you please explain all about that for us?
Thank you, Jane. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here to share with you and your audience a little bit of my story in hopes that maybe it would inspire someone else. It started with a girlfriend of mine who came to me and said, "Hey, Sandra, wanted to know if you want to join me on this challenge. I am doing a 21-day raw vegan cleanse because I want to do a spring cleaning for my body." And I was like, oh, I love the way that she put spring cleaning for her body. And it was a 21-day challenge. I'm someone who loves challenges. I love to challenge myself, doing different things, physical challenges, but this was something that piqued my interest. And it was a program where you actually went into a facility 2 times a week. You had a support group. Isabel was the one who was actually leading the program. And we said, let's go and take a look and see what this program is all about. I'm interested. Let's see what she has to say. And so what really attracted me to the program is when I went to find out about it, I had been suffering a lot with allergies and asthma. At that point, I was on 4 medications every day and had been on them for 20 years for asthma and allergy. I developed asthma in my 20s. I didn't have it as a child. I didn't even know you could develop asthma in your adult life. I thought it was something you had as a child and you grew out of it. But for me, I developed it later in life. It started shortly after I had gone overseas, about 6 months. I had this cough that I just couldn't get rid of. Anyway, long story short, they told me you have asthma, you need to start using inhalers. And here I was 10 years ago. I had 2 sinus surgeries. I had tubes put in my ears. I was getting allergy shots on a weekly basis for a whole year. And there were times throughout the year I would take steroids because my asthma would flare up. And even with the medications that I was on, I was still having flare-ups. And so I was taking all these medications and I was still suffering. I was still feeling these symptoms of asthma, even though I was taking all these medications and had these surgeries and had tubes and all that. And so Isabel had said, the lady who was running the program, I really think when you do these 21 days, you're going to see a difference in your sinuses, because I had just this chronic inflammation of the sinuses. And for many, many years, I couldn't smell and taste my food. It would just come periodically. I'd be able to smell, then I wouldn't be able to smell anymore. And if you can't smell, you really can't taste your food. And so it was something that I was dealing with for a while, and I was just really tired of it. And I said, you know what? I'm willing to give this a try. Let's see if it helps me. Let's see how I feel at the end of 21 days. Now, I didn't go into that saying, oh, wow, I'm going to be vegan at the end of this. I just wanted to do something to help me, right? Because I was feeling all of these symptoms, even with all the medication that I was taking, and I needed something to see, let me just see if it works. So it was a very intensive 21-day raw vegan cleanse because I went from pretty much the standard American diet, although I wasn't eating drive-through every single day, but I wasn't a conscious eater like I am now, reading labels and really focusing on whole food, plant-based, right? I grew up as a Latina. We ate lots of meat and rice and beans and pretty much a staple meal throughout my life. And so going into the cleanse, it was eliminating all of dairy, all the meat, of course, eggs. It was even eliminating grains, nuts, seeds, oils, alcohol, coffee. It was a complete cleanse. And we were just eating tender greens and fruit for 21 days, 3 weeks. So it was radical, right? And here I'm like just having the standard American diet to basically eating raw for 21 days, just greens and fruit, no cooked food, nothing. And I completed the 21 days. And I have to say, I'm really proud of myself when I did the challenge, because there were a lot of people who were having difficulties, right? Your body is going through a detox and the body's going, whoa, wait a minute. What is this? But you're eating all these greens. And my body was like, whoa. But I stuck with it. And literally every morning I was having these huge smoothies. I was eating 9 bananas in my smoothie along with a green in another right? Because there's about 100 calories in a banana, and we needed to get our calorie intake, right? And so even though it was a raw cleanse, so 9 bananas, 900 calories, and then add a few more calories to whatever fruits and greens that you're adding. And we had to alternate our greens every day. And this is what I loved about the program was that I was introduced to so many greens that I had never heard of before. Dandelion green, collard green, greens that I had not, Swiss chard, rainbow chard, all these beautiful greens that I'm like, oh my goodness, I had never had before. There was a rhythm to it. We were every day having smoothies and eating salads, but you couldn't have dressings, you couldn't have oil, you couldn't have vinegar with like fresh squeezed lemon. So I did the program to the T. And at the end of the program, at the end of the 21 days, Jane, I just felt fabulous. I had lost 12 pounds, which wasn't my goal, but of course it's inevitable, right? I went from a standard American diet to eating this raw cleanse. I lost 12 pounds. My skin was glowing. I had energy. Like I would just get out of bed and be like ready to take on my day. And what else? My skin, energy, lost the weight. And it was the first time that I was able to taste and smell my food in a really long time. It was like my sinuses opened up. And what I remember, eating the green and really being able to taste the flavors of the different greens, even from different lettuces, from romaine lettuce to Bibb lettuce to red leaf lettuce, spinach, like you could taste the flavor of the greens because your taste buds change, right? As you change your diet, your palate changes as well. And you don't crave the things that you craved before. So there was like absolutely no sugar. There was no salt. It was super, super clean. And so at the end, like I said, I just felt so good that I thought, wow, if I feel this good in 21 days, I could only imagine how I would feel going down the road if I adopted this lifestyle over a longer period of time, because I couldn't believe how I was feeling. And so that was so much evidence to me of the power of food and how we can use food as medicine, because I was able to smell and taste my food. And I said, you know what? I feel so good. I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to eating the meat and eating the dairy. And so at that point, I had made a decision. My life, eating meat and dairy is now changed. So I didn't know how I was going to navigate this. I didn't know anything about being a vegan, what that really looked like, what that meant. What I did know is how I felt, and that those results were so powerful to me that I didn't want to go back to feeling the way I had been feeling. And I said, you know what? I'm going to figure it out. Good thing is I'm someone who loves to cook. I love to be in the kitchen. I always grew up helping my mom in the kitchen. So I thought this is going to be something where I get to learn how to make some different meals. And so what I decided was, okay, I am going to be vegan from this point on, but I may have some fish maybe when I go out to eat, because I didn't know how this was going to look socially. I'm also a very social person. I like to go out. I love to go out for meals with friends. And as we know, we tend to gather around the table when we're in fellowship, and when we're with the friends and family, it's always around a meal. And so I thought maybe that's going to be challenging. How will I find something in the restaurant? So I said, I'll do that only when I go out, but at home, I'm going to be 100% vegan. At the time, my son was a teenager, and I told my son, Mama's going vegan. I am no longer going to be buying meats for me, but if you want to cook your own meals, he was like 15 or 16 at the time. And he also loved being in the kitchen because he would always help me as well as me helping my mom growing up. And I said, you'll have to cook your own meals. I said, but you can also eat what I'm going to make. And he started out making his own meals. And then, of course, when he started eating the foods that I was creating, and at that time, I was going to Pinterest to find recipe ideas because I thought, I don't know how I'm going to navigate this. And I was just exploring and trying different foods, and that he ended up loving it. And he eventually went vegetarian and then went vegan for a while, for several years. Now he's not 100%, but he loves vegan food and plant-based food. And I tell people, you don't have to be vegan to eat vegan, right? There's so many vegan foods by default that we don't even realize. But that's where my journey started. So the program was May 1st through May 21st. May 1st was my 10-year vegan anniversary. And I went to see the documentary, I think it was in September or October after that May. the documentary Cowspiracy. And I went with the same girlfriend that invited me to do this challenge. And we were watching the documentary, and they were talking about the ocean and the fishing and the farm rate fish and how they're killing them and all this stuff, and a lot of really education that I walked out of the theater and said, I'm not even going to have fish when I go out to restaurants, right? And then slowly but surely, I started to wean myself off of these medications through just having my plant-based diet. I was like, I'm tired. I'm tired of the Band-Aid over what's happening. I want to get to the root cause. And part of that was my food lifestyle, right? The lifestyle that I was living in terms of the food that I was choosing to nourish my body with. As we know, dairy is very inflammatory. I was already dealing with an inflammatory chronic illness with the asthma, right? It's an inflammation of the lungs, not being able to breathe. And then throw on the allergies on top of that, constantly having that inflammation. And so that's where it all started. I didn't set out to live this lifestyle. And here we are 10 years later, still loving this lifestyle. And I mentioned to you when I started my stories that it completely changed my life. And so I was also at a point 10 years ago where my marriage had ended. And I found myself to be a single mom and kind of going, what now? With like, here I was in a 21-year marriage, taking care of everybody else, my family, and I had left myself for last, right? As women, we tend to do a lot. We do a lot. We put a lot on our plate. We take care of so many others where we sometimes neglect ourselves. And so it was an opportunity for me to kind of recreate myself. And starting on this vegan journey was really the jump start that I needed, because as I changed my diet, Jane, and I was eating cleaner, my mind became so much clearer. And I started to see things differently. I started to see the world differently. I started to have more compassion for animals, more compassion for human beings, having more gratitude in my life, and just really seeing things differently, where things are not always as we think they are. And so sometimes when we have clouded vision for whatever reason, and we start to see things a little bit more clearly, things change. And as I was going through this journey of learning how to eat, and I loved cooking, and so I would, post things on Facebook. Oh, look at this new recipe. I was getting messages, people messaging me like, wow, what's the recipe? Or that looks really good. Or how do you feel? And one of the things that I did notice, Jane, I have been an athlete. I was really an avid runner. I was doing half marathons, full marathons, and kickboxing 3 to 4 days a week in the gym. And I noticed that my recovery time when I went plant-based was very quick, that I was able to get back in there and kickbox again for another hour the next day. And because when the body has the opportunity to digest things a lot quicker, we're able to bounce back. And so I was like, wow, my running times had improved. I just felt, I'm going to be honest, Wonder Woman. I was like, I'm doing this marathon. I did a triathlon. I did kickboxing. I rode a bike 150 miles. I mean, I just felt invincible. I was like, I can do anything. So that was really huge too. And again, like all this evidence of feeling so good. Why would I ever want to go back to the diet and lifestyle that I had before? And so as I was sharing all of this on my social media, I started thinking, maybe I should go back to school. Maybe I can go back to school and I can coach people and help them in this lifestyle. And so that's what I did. Still in my corporate job, working during the day. And I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition in the evening. And I wanted to really learn more about holistic healing, right? Learning what is the root cause of the issues that we have. And we know a lot of these chronic illnesses are due to lifestyle choices, right? By what we choose to nourish our body with. And when we tweak things and we make some changes, our body is going to feel those changes. And so I went back to school and learning all the different dietary theories and really being more in tune with my body too, as I'm learning as well. And then I also took Dr. T. Colin Campbell's plant-based nutrition certificate course through eCornell. I was like, you know what? I got my certification at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, but I felt like I wanted a little bit more. Oh, well, actually, no, it was in the opposite. I did the plant certificate first, right? And I said, I need something more. And then I went to the health coaching school to be a health coach. And so when I finished that, I was like, okay, great. Now I feel like I have a little more tools in my toolbox to really help people who want to maybe transition to a more plant-based or vegan life. It just changed my life, where that is where my true passion lies, where I get to help women. So when I first started out, it was mainly I was doing my 21-day plant powered challenge, right? And I created this 21-day challenge based off of what I experienced through my 21-day raw vegan cleanse. It's nowhere near as intense because my program is more for that person who's, oh, I'm interested in finding out, what is this plant-based lifestyle all about? How do I get in the kitchen? I don't know what to cook. What do I eat? What do I do with my family who's not vegan? How do I socialize with people? Because we know that societal pressures are there when you are someone who's in the minority, right? We're like, what, 1% of the population, right? So we go out to eat and there could be a lot of peer pressure as to how do I eat? How do I socialize and still stay true to what it is I want? And that's more of a plant-based lifestyle. And that's where I get to teach my clients why it's so important to know your why. Why is it that you want to eat this way? And for me, my why was so clear on how I felt at the end of those 21 days that my why was so strong. I was like, I feel amazing. Like, why would I want to go back? And so that's what has kept me so grounded in continuing this lifestyle because of where I'm at now, where I was able to wean myself off of those medications. I wasn't on the 4 medications anymore. I've had my times here and there where I've needed some help during, the high allergy season, or now that the stage that I'm in right now in post-menopause and seeing some changes in my body and doing things a little bit differently in the loss of estrogen and how asthma flare can happen when we lose the estrogen because it's an anti-inflammatory hormone. We no longer have that extra support, how it can affect. So now I've kind of moved into, although I still help people with eating and I post on my Instagram things that I make and what I create, but really helping that woman in their 40s, 50s, and beyond to look and feel sexy all through a plant-based program, plant-based lifestyle, and feeling good in the skin that we're in, no matter what age we are. I mean, I feel like life is it's just starting right now. There's so much more that I get to do. That's a little bit of my story in a nutshell.
That's fantastic. And you're such a good role model for people of your age. You're what, early 50s, are
I'm
you?
54.
54. So tell us about your Instagram account. And also, I understand you've got some freebies that people can get as well.
Yes, absolutely. That's where I spend most of my time is on Instagram. So if anybody's interested in going to my account, it's Coach Sandra Cotto. And that's where I post my workouts. I post recipes, kind of what I've been doing. And I also would like to give any of your viewers a couple of freebies that I've created for anyone that's interested. One of them is a PDF document on how to get your sexy back after 40, 50 and beyond. Some of my top 5 tips in helping you to do that. I would also love to give your viewers a plant-based recipe book. It's called Dinner with Sandra, 33 plant-based recipes. I have also a private Facebook group, Healthy Women Over 40. And I had challenged myself to go in my private group for 33 consecutive days, every day sharing a plant-based recipe that they can do in 30 minutes or less. And with those 33 days, the challenge, as I like challenges, right? No team here. I like to give myself these challenges because I know when I set it, it's going to happen. And so I challenge myself to go live every single day in my private group, teaching these women how to create an easy, delicious plant-based recipe in 30 minutes or less. And so this ebook was created in those 33 days that I went live, and I just basically put all the recipes in an ebook. So I would love to offer your viewers, for anyone who maybe is not plant-based, so they just want to learn more, or how to really just get in the kitchen and do a semi-homemade, right? Everything doesn't have to always be from scratch, but you use different things to put something together that's quick, that's easy, that's delicious, and it's good for you too.
Okay, and the link for that will be in the video description.
I
So Thank you very much for that.
Oh, I would love to support anyone on this journey. I mean, I know we're both on this journey together, eating healthy and really being conscious of what we choose to nourish our bodies with, because it's the only temple that we have, right? The only body that we have. Why not treat it right so that we can live and thrive in our 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond, so that we can live the most beautiful life that we can while we're here.
Such an inspiring story, Sandra. Really inspiring. It's really interesting that this journey that you've been on allowed you to almost eliminate your medication. I know you've lost weight, you don't get regular asthma or allergy symptoms. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed listening to you and talking to you. Thank you.
You're welcome.